Hello and welcome to News and Views. I'm John Banville. Our guest this week are Senator Joe Robach and Aaron Hilger from the Building a Better Rochester Coalition. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
I would like, for our viewers at home, could you explain to our viewers at home what the Building a Better Rochester Coalition is about, what it's doing, and what it means for our local organizations?
Absolutely. Building a Better Rochester was formed by myself, members of the building trades, other construction organizations like the Rochester Home Builders, the Builder Exchange, which was my group, in late 2011, because we realized we had to start doing something different to have different results. And we have a unique coalition of labor management and associations, and with very strong support from Senator Robach and Assemblyman Morelli and the rest of our delegation, that exists to advocate for Rochester and to help Rochester get its fair share. Historically, Rochester hasn't done as well as some of the other cities. We haven't asked in the same way, and we haven't screamed loudly to achieve that parity, and this coalition is designed to do exactly that, to help our delegation get us better results.
What brought you and Senator Robach together?
Well, certainly maybe I could jump in too, and I would really thank Aaron for his leadership, all the organizations that have jumped in to really make this a public, private, all-encompassing collaboration to try and get a better result for Rochester. And I would say it this way. We've had a little bit of this in some categories, certainly in economic development money and capital projects with some private companies and universities. We've had some great success that have resulted in a lot of jobs. But a lot of times in roads and bridges, and certainly in things directly for the city of Rochester, like direct aid to localities, certainly by formula, not my opinion, we have lagged behind on Buffalo. We did have 1 year of adjustment where we got a 20% boost to Rochester, interestingly enough, when Bob Duffy, the now Lieutenant Governor, was the mayor. We need to continue to duplicate those efforts. And I would say it this way. The opinion always in Albany is that Rochester is kind of the jewel of upstate New York, and we're doing a little bit better than a lot of the other places, which may be true. But clearly, not only are we facing some challenges, and we'd like to see unemployment at 0 in Rochester, not 7%, regardless of whether it's 9% in the state or 11% in the nation. We feel that's really important. It's about jobs, opportunities, keeping people in Rochester. It's an ongoing battle. But we have to convince people here who often think we don't need the help. And when you look at other demographics, while that's true about unemployment, we now are facing some issues with Kodak that aren't going to help the economy. And when it comes to the direct city of Rochester, which is why our mayor, Tom Richards, was here today and supports this as well, Democrats, Republicans alike, there really is a concentration of poverty, a lot of issues. And then when you go to look and see what the school aid numbers are, so much higher for Buffalo. When you go see what the direct aid to localities is, I don't know, Aaron, how much higher is it? Do you know off the top of your head?
For aid municipalities, Rochester gets about $75 a year, or per person per year. Buffalo gets about $134 a year.
Which is quite
Syracuse
significant.
gets about $95.
Right.
So
quite significant, even though our demographic now matches those. So we really want to set the tone and continue to do this. I think having people work in a more bipartisan way, having a bigger sector of our community in different fields come forward under the guise of building a better Rochester, I think that can only help us be successful, give it more attention, and more muscle, if you will, here at the state capitol. So I'm excited to not only help and be together, but hoping that we'll get a better result, or a little bit of a different result as we move forward.
We, on this program before, Senator Robach is one of the few legislators that has examples of basically building bipartisan relationships to get things done, for a bottom line, to get a result for the people of Rochester. How is Building a Better Rochester helping to educate legislators to this inequity in
Yeah.
in the formulas.
I mean, part of the change is that you've got you historically look at Democrats, Republicans, you look at labor and management, you look at people that wouldn't necessarily agree on a lot of things. This coalition includes that whole group. So from a communications perspective and an advocacy perspective, you're talking to both sides all the time. Our main role today, and it has been in the last few months, is to start raising awareness of these numbers. That's why we issued the report about state funding that we issued today, and looking at the inequities between Rochester and Syracuse, and in the construction side of it, amongst all of the upstate MSAs, and Rochester, unfortunately, is the lowest one of those MSAs. I think one of the biggest problems, and the senator talked about it, is that people in Albany think everything is great in Rochester, and in some ways it is. I love living there; it's a fantastic community. But Kodak just filed for bankruptcy. And Kodak has been declining for years, and that underlines the weakness in the city of Rochester and in the Rochester community. We have brought back all of the jobs, or almost all of the jobs that we lost from the 2008 recession. That doesn't mean the city is financially stable, nor does it mean we're getting a fair share of construction dollars. And we could be in this very odd situation, and the mayor discussed this at length this morning, of being in a position where we actually have good economic development and growth, at least in the short term, in a city that's going broke, and a set of city schools that aren't graduating enough kids to fill those jobs if we are able to create them. It doesn't make sense. And that's why we have to do something differently.
And John, if I could just chime in, because I'll give you the personal side of it. Being a lifelong resident of Rochester, knowing a tremendous amount of people and being very integrated, nothing concerns me more or gets me more upset when I have somebody that's just gotten downsized from Kodak. Very similar to my family, may have had immigrant parents or grandparents, wants to stay in Rochester, but can't find the opportunity. That really is upsetting, not only for their family, but for us as a community. So when we talk about economic development, or I support completely the governor's idea of regional councils, and I do think you have to fund projects that work and really create jobs, but I do think there should be some regional equitability to those programs, that money, because we want to make sure we're collaborating using some public dollars with private dollars and other things, to create jobs, whether it's been, Comida with IT&T, huge amount of jobs, going back to the Hickey Freeman, which is a great model, where we had $4 million from the state, $1 million from the city and the county put in, even organized labor put in, I believe, almost $1 million, and some private money from the parent company to keep Hickey Freeman and Rochester a brand name known all over the world. And moving forward, we have to make sure those things come in. And I don't behoove any other area. I want everybody to have a fair share in upstate New York, but we also get alarmed when we hear the highest powers in Albany talk about giving one area a significant amount of money. We want to make sure they're acutely aware of our needs, the inequities that exist for us. If money's going to be doled out, that we get our fair share. That's what this is really all about.
And a really good example of the concept of smart public investment. The governor recently announced some funding for $26 million, $27 million for I-390 Kendrick Road. That's a project that we've been advocating for the last 10 years. And it's a very significant project because it facilitates the growth at the University of Rochester. And if the university is able to fulfill its master plan, it leads to the creation of 10,000 jobs. It also facilitates the growth at RIT. The biggest problem we've had in this whole conversation is it's taking us 10 years to get to that point. And as a community, and we certainly, the construction community and the organized labor side of it has been working very hard on this advocacy, and our members have been working very hard on it, but we weren't doing it together. And now we see ourselves getting a little bit over the edge on it with more cohesive and coordinated action, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that from us.
Do you find that Lieutenant Governor Bob Duffy was mayor of Rochester, and he now holds a very high position in state government? Do you see him being helpful to you in trying to get the fair share for Rochester? Will this be helpful to you in your endeavor?
I certainly expect it to be. I think nobody at the upper levels of the executive offices, understands better what Rochester needs than someone who's been a mayor. And certainly the lieutenant governor, who we all supported, understands those issues very well. He understands AIM-aid and school aid and the effective construction in the communities. I think that we have to help give him the tools to be successful in that, and perhaps to fight some bias that, we don't want to show favoritism to the city of Rochester because the lieutenant governor is there. Well, I'm here to ask for my favoritism now. I think it's time for us to get that.
I'm with Aaron on that one. It's, if somebody was advocating for something at one level, and I do know now the role and scope changes, they should certainly be willing to do that, and we should all be right there with him. And I would say I'm encouraged. I know County Executive Brooks has said good things about the effort. The mayor joined us in the press conference today on building a better Rochester. And I know people of all stripes, different businesses, even other people are going to inquire about that and want to know what they could do. And I really do applaud it. This is really just a legitimate effort, not even to be greedy, just to say, here's some things that stand. We're now calling on everybody in government, from the legislature right up to the executive chamber, to say, they're out there, what are we going to do about it? And that's everybody's job. The other thing I was going to say too is, while I really think that in New York, we have moved in the right direction, working in a bipartisan manner with the governor, shutting down a $10 billion deficit without raising any broad-based taxes and fees. We've gotten great reviews from the Business Council, NFIB, and most importantly to me, even when I'm walking around my district, a lot of people are finally saying, thank you for not raising taxes, thank you for doing property tax cap, thank you for capping the state budget, thank you for lowering income tax. People are getting it, but even on what money's left, that's what I'm saying. We're not saying add, we're saying get a fair share. And then for the projects that have been announced, I've learned this in government, it's our job as the local legislators to make sure that funding, in fact, does stream in there so we can get the shovels in the ground, get people working, and inject that capital into the local economy in Rochester. We all need to do that, and I think we'll be working on those things together as well.
Well, the thing I find most interesting about this Building a Better Rochester organization, the coalition, is that you have brought together groups of people who traditionally did not work together, did not talk together, very often were at odds with each other. They were looking for the same goal, but they had different ways of getting there. I find this to be a very interesting way to approach things. It builds on the economic regional conferences that the governor had put forth, bringing all these people together. Do you, how difficult is it to organize this, or is it just that everybody realizes that this is what we need to have done?
Yeah, I think at a high level, whether you're a building contractor, a union leader, a member of the business community, everybody can agree and understand one very simple thing, which is that Rochester has to grow and develop and has to secure adequate resources to secure its long-term future. That case in and of itself isn't hard. Developing trust, developing rapport, deciding that it makes sense to work together and fund an effort, that takes a lot of work. I really commend my partners in organized labor with the bricklayers, the bricklayers Local 3, Laborers 435, other members of the building trades, groups like the Rochester Home Builders, the Builders Exchange, which is my group. The collective leadership of those entities thinks this makes sense. A lot of us have worked together I've been at the Builders Exchange for 9 years, and a lot of us have worked together for 9 years or 10 years or 20 years. So there's an element of understanding that our world is changing. We may not want it to change, but we have to grow and adapt to achieve different and better results.
Senator Robach, how do you see this progressing?
Yeah, I would just end. I think this is something, because the goal and aim is so true and so focused, that ancillary things aren't going to cloud it. This might help bring people together more long-term on a number of things, and I hope that the coalition grows, and really thank Aaron and all the people that early started this, because one thing is certain. We do want our neighbors and friends to have jobs. We want the economy to be good, and I think we're all 100% committed to Rochester and Monroe County.
Mr. Hilger, I'd like to thank you very much for taking time for explaining to us about building a better Rochester. Senator Robach, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.